In a meta with 1,000 Pokémon and only 7 viable options, can one trainer take the word of Elite Four member Karen and succeed with only their favorites? Our first opponent of this episode led with a Blastoise and a Zacian against our Incineroar and Charizard. I Gigantamaxed and Furnace the Charizard, and our opponent did the same with Blastoise. After a Fake Out and a Wildfire, Zacian was down, and Infernus took a Cannonade decently well from the Blastoise. Oh wow, that did less than I thought. I thought I was going in red. Our opponent's next Pokemon was Xurkitree. I switched Incineroar into Ninetales to set up the sun for Infernus, then began to chip away at Blastoise with a max overgrowth. Unfortunately, Xurkitree's Electroweb was then able to take out Infernus. The opposing Blastoise then used a Cannonade on Ninetales, taking it out as well. I then brought in my final two Pokemon, Incineroar and Eternatus. I faked out Xurkitree to prevent it from attacking and used Dynamax Cannon to take out the Blastoise. The final opposing Pokemon was Eldegoss, weirdly enough. I was able to wrap this one up with a Dynamax Cannon from our Eternatus, which was able to take out the Xurkitree, and a Flare Blitz from our Incineroar, one-shotting the Eldegoss, winning the first battle in quite a while, and after several episodes, finally wrapping up day 2 of this challenge. But not before a big progress point. Oh, Pokeball tier, we did it! That was the goal! What is up, everybody? We are back with day 3 of the trying to win in competitive Pokemon only with Pokemon we like challenge. I don't know why I said we, I like, Pokemon I like challenge. And yeah, we're gonna see if we can recover from our terrible bout of losses from day 2. We went 2-5 just yesterday alone. We're gonna see if we could bring that back to a winning record. I just got out of the shower, hence the very wet hair. Our next opponent started with Lunala and Grimmsnarl against Infernus and Incineroar. I doubled the Grimmsnarl, faking it out and wildfiring it so it couldn't set up any screens. That came with the price of a 4x super effective Meteor Beam from Lunala. However... Oh my god! That is the biggest thing that has happened in favor of our luck the entire time. He missed the Meteor Beam. It's a 90 accuracy move. You know, I needed that after some of the shit that happened yesterday. I deserved that. I then switched Incineroar into Impasse, our Grimmsnarl, because it has screens and has a 4x super effective move on Lunala. The Lunala maxed, the Incineroar faked out the slot we switched, and a Wildfire did very little chip damage to Lunala just before taking Infernus out with a max Rockfall. Then I bring in Eternatus, set up a light screen, Dynamax Cannon Lunala to Wildfire residual range, eat a max Phantasm with Eternatus, and get parting shotted by the Incineroar afterwards. The Incineroar then switches into Groudon. The Lunala then is taken out by the Wildfire residual damage. Our opponent's last Pokemon was Incineroar. I switched Eternatus into my Incineroar and set up Reflect with Impasse, which, stacked with Intimidate, drops Groudon's damage output significantly. The Incineroar goes for a Fake Out on ours, and then we devour a Precipice Blades from the Groudon. This turn, I faked the Groudon out to get a free False Surrender on it with Impasse after taking a Burning Jealousy from the opposing Incineroar. Next, Groudon's Precipice Blades misses Incineroar and takes out Impasse, our Grimmsnarl. Our Incineroar is then able to take out the Groudon with a Flare Blitz boosted by the sun. We then brought in Eternatus, our final Pokemon, and began to get ready for a Meteor Beam, which ended up missing. We then traded Flare Blitzes with Incineroars, mine doing far more than the opponent's because of a crit. Since our Eternatus was now at +1 special attack from the missed Meteor Beam, we were able to just go for a Dynamax Cannon for a safe KO on the Incineroar, winning us yet another battle. Oh, climbing the ranks quick. Look at that. This battle's lead was Gastrodon and Toxapex versus Incineroar and Eternatus. I faked out the Gastrodon and set up a Cosmic Power on Eternatus, which makes it very difficult for the opponent to KO. The opposing Toxapex then went for a Toxic on our Incineroar after the Gastrodon flinched. For the next turn, we Cosmic Powered with Eternatus again, and parting shotted into Banshee, our Dragapult, with Incineroar. The Gastrodon then went for a Yawn on Eternatus, which will make it fall asleep in the next turn if we don't switch out, and then the Toxapex went for a Haze, eliminating our stat buffs on Eternatus. Switched Eternatus out into Grimmsnarl and used Ally Switch with Banshee. Gastrodon went for a Yawn on Banshee, which ended up hitting Grimmsnarl, and the Toxapex went for a Toxic in the slot that had Eternatus, predicting a switch. The Toxic was then quickly healed with my Lumberry. I then switched Grimmsnarl for Incineroar and Dragon Darts the enemies. The Gastrodon fails a Yawn it wanted to put on Grimmsnarl, and the Toxapex Toxics Banshee again, this time successfully. We send more Dragon Darts at the enemies, this time critically hitting Gastrodon, and we roar Toxapex off the field and drag in the opponent's Volcarona. We then U-turn Banshee out to prevent Toxic from doing too much damage and send in Eternatus. Volcarona sets up a Quiver Dance, and our Incineroar does big damage to the Volcarona with a Flare Blitz. After that, the Gastrodon takes Incineroar out with a Scald. Then we bring Grimmsnarl right back in, set up a light screen, take some pretty big damage from a Bug Buzz, and then take out the Volcarona with a Dynamax Cannon. The Gastrodon then yawns Impasse our Grimmsnarl. The next turn, with Toxapex back on the field, we Dynamax Cannon Gastrodon, then False Surrender it, taking it out finally. Impasse then gets KO'd by Gastrodon's Rocky Helmet. We bring Banshee back in, and our opponent sends in Charizard. We both max, Banshee Phantasms the Toxapex to lower its defense, and Eternatus goes for a Meteor Beam. And of course, knowing my luck... Bro! Oh my god, what are the odds? The Charizard goes for a Max Wormwind, which Eternatus takes pretty well, and the Toxapex goes for a questionable Toxic. Due to the inability of Toxapex to do anything significant, I decide to double the Charizard, making sure it goes down. Banshee uses Max Phantasm, and Eternatus finishes it off with a fat Dynamax Cannon. The Toxapex does go for a recover, but it is too little too late at this point. We go for a Max Phantasm the next turn, does a lot because it's at -2 defense, and a Dynamax Cannon is obviously enough to finish it off, taking out the Toxapex and winning another game. Tiered up, rank 5 now, it's pretty big. We have not only reached Pokeball tier, but it's second rank. Now that we've made it out of beginner tier finally, things are looking up for the challenge. But will it stay that way? Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on finding out in future episodes, and I will catch you all then. Deuces.